Most people are aware of or have actually played with an Ouija board with letters, numbers and signs around the edge, to which a planchette or movable pointer or upturned glass moves around answering questions from people. People that play with an Ouija board believe it is just a fun game, and for many that is all it has been, and were lucky that nothing bad happened to them. However, there are people that have regretted playing with an Ouija board as they opened up a portal allowing malevolent entities into their lives that they could not get rid of, turning their lives into a living nightmare. The following terrifying incidents took place in 1966 in Cheadle, Manchester, northwest England, to a couple with 2 young children. At the time, Dennis Chambers was a policeman, where he and his wife Marion decided to purchase an Ouija board and started to experiment with it. It took only 1 session on the board, where over the next 2 months, strange incidences started to occur in their home. Dennis decided to write down everything that had been happening to them and sent what he'd written to a magazine. As he was a police officer, he thought it best that he use a pseudonym for fear of losing his job. In March 1966, Dennis's father passed away, and the unfortunate event had been foretold by a friend of theirs who was a clairvoyant. Dennis, his wife, and a few friends then attempted to contact his deceased father and the spirit world via the Ouija board. The session proved mildly successful, where they were able to contact several spirits, and one of them was a man called Ronald Lund, who, before he had passed, was known by one of the sitters. Overall though, Dennis was rather disappointed, as he'd wanted to make contact with his deceased father. However, unbeknown to them at the time, the after effects of the session would prove frightening. The following night, when Dennis and Marion went to bed, the room was half lit by a full moon that filtered through the curtains, and as their heads hit the pillow, suspended between the floor and ceiling was a man's face. The man looked to be in his 30s, with an oval-shaped face, a longish nose, with light brown wavy hair. He had bushy eyebrows and extremely bright eyes, and his whole face appeared to be lit up as if he was illuminated from the inside. Although his appearance lasted only a few seconds, they were still able to take in his features. But as Dennis turned his head away, Lund's full name came into his mind, as if the face and name were meant to come together. A few days later, Dennis had arrived home at 2:30 a.m. from his night shift and found his wife in an agitated state with all of the lights turned on. She said that she'd been playing with the Ouija board again, but on this occasion there were some frightening incidents when a heavy board that had been securely attached to the wall in her son's bedroom had suddenly crashed to the floor, which for some strange reason did not wake their son. But then an acrid, fishy smell filled his room, and she felt a strange presence in the house. After going to bed, things got even spookier when a jumper that had been sitting on a table next to her bed rose to an upright position, folded over, and then tucked itself into a lampshade. As Marion got out of bed, an angry voice shouted her name and abused her, and she saw a shadowy figure move along the wall. Marion felt that the whole exercise was simply to terrify her, which she claimed it certainly had. The next day, they called in a clairvoyant friend of theirs to visit the house, and he said that the main problem emanated from their son's bedroom, and he asked for a photograph of their son. After studying the photo, an image appeared in his mind of a monk wearing a habit standing behind the boy. The monk's face appeared to look yellow, wrinkled, and evil-looking. Using the Ouija board, somehow opened up a portal that allowed the monk to come through to their son's bedroom. They attempted an exorcism that only gave them temporary relief, but they still sensed his presence. However, the following night there appeared a strange transformation when the room was filled with the fragrance of beautiful flowers, and the wonderful aroma lasted for several days. Unfortunately, an uneasy atmosphere still remained throughout the rest of the house, and they tried many different methods to rid themselves of the problems. They still felt an uneasy presence. On one occasion, the daughter heard what she believed was her father calling her, but at the time of the incident, her father was in the garden. Whatever it was, he was now playing games with them. On June the 7th, 1966, his wife Marion woke at about 2:30 a.m. and looked across at a chest of drawers in the room. In front of the drawers, a human-like shape slowly rose up from the floor. His head was dome-shaped and had no face or neck. Pieces of his arms and body were missing, but there was enough of the shape that blocked out the chest of drawers. The bottom of the bed was obstructing the rest of its lowest parts, but judging by its slow and coordinated movements, this thing was very much alive and was about to stand up. Marion was looking at a living nightmare. She said that she fought off her fears and started to get out of bed, while all of the time the thing was crouched and stationary and observing her. It was at this stage that Marion's movements had awoken Dennis, where he sat up in bed to see what all the drama was about, and as he did, the form sank back into the floor and slowly melted away. Dennis and Marion quickly ran to check the welfare of their children and found they were safe. On returning to their bedroom, they found that the spot that the horrific entity had been was now filled with an acrid fishy smell. The following day, they again attempted an exorcism, and then a couple of days later carried out another one. Although the two exorcisms eased things somewhat, they still felt a presence. Dennis and Marion had no doubt that when they played with the Ouija board, it had opened up a doorway, and playing with one is a warning that it is certainly not a fun game, as it brought something into their house that they could not get rid of. Other people who have entertained an Ouija board have had to overcome spontaneous fires, poltergeists, and other strange events.